What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the top 3 races of the week, the show where I rank my 3 favorite races from this past weekend. At this point, guys, you know the drill, so let's go. In number 3, we are going to the European Indoor Championships for an impressive double at the 3,000 meters and 1,500 meter distances by none other than young rising phenom Jakob Ingebrigtsen. First for him was the 3,000 meter race, where he faced some stiff competition from competitors like his own older brother Henrik Ingebrigtsen and Chris O'Hare. The Ingebrigtsen duo went to the front early and controlled the pace as they made it a little slow, a little tactical, and with 800 meters to go, the entire pack was still there in contention. Then finally, they started really squeezing down the pace, and with less than a lap to go, it was only Jakob, Henrik, and Chris O'Hare. Just looking at their faces, you could tell who was the most comfortable out of that group, as Jakob Ingebrigtsen just easily glided away from the other two, winning in 7:56. And right behind, O'Hare barely leaned out Henrik Ingebrigtsen for second place, just by a hair. And then just 24 hours later, the 18-year-old Jakob was back on the track for the men's 1500 against a field that included defending champion Marcin Lewandowski. The pace was extremely conservative at first, 63 through 400, 206 through 800, and finally with 2 laps to go, Jakob said, "I have had enough of this," and went to the front and started hammering. Then Lewandowski took over the lead at the bell, and Jakob had no answer as Marcin Lewandowski ran to the win in 3:42, and Jakob would have to settle for second place. Although, to be fair, to be only 18 years old and get a gold and a silver medal in the European Championships is a heck of an accomplishment. Meanwhile, on the women's side, Laura Muir saw what Jakob Ingebrigtsen had been doing trying to get a double, and she said, "You know what, okay, let me take a stab at it. Let me try." And try she did, as her first race was the women's 3K, which had a loaded field, including the Millrose Mile champ, Constance Klosterhalfen, or Coco as she likes to be called. The race went out at a fairly decent pace, 2:57 for the kilometer, but I guess it wasn't decent enough for Coco, as she made a huge move with a mile to go, and Laura Muir went right with her. Those two broke away from the field pretty much instantly, as Coco spent the next few laps trying desperately to break Laura Muir. But unfortunately for her, Muir was still right there with a lap and a half to go and had a little some extra left in the tank. Boom! Look at that acceleration from Laura Muir, and Coco had no response as Muir just whipped right by her. She just flew down that home stretch and ended up running a 28-second final lap for a finishing time of 8:30, which was a new European Indoor Championship record. And obviously huge props to Coco for really making that race, but unfortunately she would have to settle for second place as Laura Muir's kick was just too lethal. Then 2 days later, Laura Muir was back on the track for the women's 1,500 meter final. Laura Muir had complete control over this race as she went to the front straight from the gun and put on the brakes. None of her competitors ever challenged her for the lead, and with 2 laps to go, Laura Muir started a devastating kick, and of course, nobody could go with. Now, Muir could have shut it down when she knew she had the lead, but she said, "Nuh-uh, I am going all out in this race. It's my last race, why not?" And she went the last 400 in 57 seconds for a 4:05 finishing time. And finally, for number 1, we are headed over to Boston for a mile world record attempt by none other than Yomif Kajalcha. Now, for this race, Kajalcha had 2 pacers. Eric Sawinski was supposed to go through 800 in 1:52 point, and then Haroun Abda was supposed to take him through the 1,000 at around the same pace. Now, I don't know if plans changed or anything, but they actually went through the 800 a good deal slower than they were supposed to, 1:53 high. And Kajalcha must have thought the pace was slow as well, as he actually went around Abda on the backstretch. And at this point, you'd be forgiven for thinking that the record wasn't going to happen today. However, even without any pace setters, Kajalcha managed to keep his pace through the third quarter, 2:50, back on track for the mile world record. And then on the final lap, everyone was on their feet screaming as the clock kept ticking. 3:45, 3:46, 3:47! New world record by Yomif Kajalcha, 3:47.02, smashing Hicham El Guerrouj's old world record of 3:48.4. But the greatest part of it all might have been Yomif Kajalcha's post-race celebration. Look at how happy he is. You can tell that's a man who just broke a world record. Well, there you have it, guys. The top 3 races from this past weekend. A couple things that I forgot to mention, especially about the men's mile world record. Obviously, Yomif Kejelcha's performance was above and beyond amazing, but behind him, Johnny Guerrouj ran 3:49.98 to become the number 2 American miler of all time, right behind Bernard Lagat. Sam Prakel ran 3:50. Henry Wynn 3:51. All three of them broke into the top 10 American indoor miles all time. And quickly before you guys go, I actually have a bonus race, the women's mile at the USATF Masters Indoor Championships for the 55 to 59 age group. And why is this race so important? Because my aunt, Louise Kelly, was racing it and she killed it. She ran a very smart race as she decided not to go with Michelle Allen's very early race move. And this worked out for her as Kelly and Lorraine Jasper ended up catching Michelle Allen and passing her with a little less than 2 laps to go. On the final home straight, it was neck and neck between Kelly and Jasper, but in the end, Jasper ended up getting the slight edge, but still, great race, great job, Aunt Louise, you killed it. So yeah guys, I guess I'm done here for today. I have nothing else to report. NCAA championships are this weekend, so that's fun. But until then, guys, I will see you later.